Video on something that I'm just going to have a faff around with. So I have de-seeded some tomatoes, kind of quartered them, then cut the centre out of the tomatoes. So cut them into leaves type of thing, like the four leaves, and you kind of, and these are the centre bits of the tomatoes. And what I was going to do is I was going to turn that into tomato sauce. So that's the inside of the tomato, and then I've just kind of scooped all the seeds and the watery stuff out. The seeds can be a bit bitter, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run the hand blender through that and then put that through a sieve so we get the water. But I was looking at this, so that's the inside of the tomato. Then imagine that the flesh is on the outside, so I imagine like the flesh is on the outside. So that's how the tomato looks. So I've just whipped the centre out and then just squeezed those seeds and that little bit of juice out. And we're not going to waste that juice. Interestingly, you can plant those seeds and grow them, and they'll produce quite good tomatoes. And the only reason that supermarket tomatoes aren't the best quality in the UK, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, it's because of the way that they're grown. They're grown in more of a nutrient-rich liquid more than soil, so they don't kind of, and they're ripened kind of quite quickly, so they don't develop kind of flavour. And there are a certain variety which hold up to be grown in that way and transported and kept on supermarket shelves and all that kind of stuff. So, but they are, if you grow them in your greenhouse at home from these seeds, they're pretty good tomatoes. So anyway, I was going to do that, and then some of them have got a bit of stalk in them like that. So I'm going to go through. Ridiculous that I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to go through them all and just cut that bit of stalk out. In retrospect, I should have done that first. I should have just scooped out the stalk. So we're left with those bits of tomatoes. And I was kind of thinking that what we'll do is I was going to turn them into a tomato sauce at the weekend when I've got a bit more free time. Prep it now while I'm doing it and keep it in the fridge for a couple of days. But I was kind of thinking, and then kind of make it into a pasta bake, that type of thing. Something easy for the weekend, because I've got a few things to do. But I was kind of thinking, well, what happens if we fry them in a pan and fry them kind of quite hard and kind of quite fast, so they a bit like an assassin's pasta or spaghetti assassins type of thing. Would it kind of work? So, and then I was faffing around with 3-ingredient pasta, so frying bacon off and then frying the spaghetti stroke linguine until it was brown, and then throwing in tomatoes and the bacon and cooking it around and doing like a one-pan dish, doing it really kind of quite cheap. So I was kind of thinking, could we do the same with, could we do that type of thing? Could we kind of make the sauce in the pan, use fresh tomatoes rather than tinned, and instead of using the like a tin's worth of tomatoes and then a tin's worth of water to cook the pasta, could we actually use that to cook the pasta? Just a kind of thought. So that's my plan, and then we'll see if it kind of works. I'm not going to do a short version of it, but I think I'll just do that, me faffing around with something. So because I suppose that's the kind of like the waste product for me, which I would use. But I suppose the same principle kind of works. Kind of squeeze the seeds and the inner pulp out of tomatoes, cut the tomatoes up, cube them, and then kind of get them to that kind of stage. It's just that I'm using something that essentially is a waste product for me, which I'm going to use for something else. But I suppose you could do the same with whole tomatoes. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do, which seems like a bit of a faff because I'm going to have to go through and kind of cut those bits of stalk out like so. But what else am I going to do apart from go swimming or go out walking or organise functions? But anyway, so that's the plan. We'll see what happens. Right, I have that's a bit of salami and a bit of chorizo that needs using up, so we might as well use those for the meaty element of this dish. And then I bought this from Lidl. It's a bronze die pasta, so it should be relatively good. It should be relatively good quality. But we'll find out. I don't know. It probably. Oh, got the fridge open. I don't think it'll be as good quality as the other brand that I've been using. This brand, I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce that. I'm dyslexic. Not badly dyslexic, But I can barely read my own language, let alone anyone else's. So we're going to give that pasta a try as well, and it'd be a good excuse to use those up, and a good excuse to kind of use that and see how that kind of compares. And then we've got, I don't know how much that weighs. I suppose we really should weigh that, shouldn't we? Have we got another same size glass? Yes. I'll pause. Hang on. I'm not ready. Right. So we're slightly off camera, but you can see the scale there. So you put a glass on, tear it off, and then it's the same size glass. And we just put that on, and you can see what that weighs. So that is 270 grams of scrap tomatoes, and then this is that's the water. That's 361 grams, and that's the water from around the pips and all that kind of stuff. So that's the recipe. We need to fry the pasta in some lard, get it nice and coloured, and then we'll cube up this salami, just remove that, and chorizo, and fry that until crisp, and then we'll fry in the tomatoes. To kind of break those down, just so by bin, I'm not running away. Fry those down to kind of cook them more, and then we'll add in the pasta, and then we'll add in the tomato liquid, and then the same amount again of water, and that should be enough to cook it, I think. 3 ingredient pasta made with some scrap bits of tomato, the juice from around the seeds of some tomatoes, and a couple of bits of cured meats. Fry 200 grams of linguine until it looks like this. Cube and fry 150 grams worth of cured meat until it looks like this. Drain off some of the excess fat. Save that fat for something else delicious. Add 300 grams of tomato scraps. Fry hard. Season with salt and plenty of pepper. When the tomatoes have cooked down and start to take on colour, add back in the pasta, add the tomato juice and the same amount of water. Hard fry until it looks like this, and then enjoy. Try and do the twiddly thing with a fork and a ladle, but realise that little pasta is a load of rubbish. Right, so little pasta's not so great. It's broken up during the cooking process. It was a little bit broken up in the packet, but I didn't think that would have mattered. But the cooking process has broken it up, which it shouldn't do. It certainly didn't happen with the better quality pasta. But how does it taste? That's a much more important thing. And it's strange that the really cheap spaghetti from Lidl didn't break up in the same way that the expensive one did. But we live and learn, don't we? It's lovely, is that? It's lovely, is that? Out of the 3 ingredient, like tomato and pork product or meaty pastas that I've made, they've all been good. I think this particular method of frying the pasta, I need to blow my nose, frying the pasta and then caramelizing the kind of meat and then hard frying it all together, really kind of adds a really good layers of flavour that means we can get away with less ingredients, and we can get away with also cheaper quality. Well, cheaper ingredients. Cheaper doesn't necessarily mean lesser quality, but we can get away with using lesser quality stroke cheaper ingredients and still have a delicious dinner, which isn't that much work. It's a one-pan dish, you know, and it's relatively easy to do. You know, there's not much to go wrong. But there we go. That's a success, apart from the pasta. And a good way of using up scraps of tomatoes. So I use scraps of tomatoes, but you could use fresh tomatoes, like some, or cherry tomatoes. So cherry tomatoes would have been great. Kind of squeeze the cherry tomatoes to get the excess seeds and juice out of them, and then use the cherry tomatoes in the same way as that. That would be really nice with that. And of course, cherry tomatoes are a more intense flavour, but that works really well. It's a good way of using up like a little bit of, kind of going through the fridge and seeing what you've got. Maybe you've got a slice of bacon, maybe you've got a little bit of chorizo, Maybe you've got some slices of salami or another kind of cured meat like that. Remove the skin, even a fresh sausage. Kind of like remove the skin, put the sausage in, fry it with the other porky products until the sausage is crisp and cooked, and then kind of break it up in the pan, so it'd be like a sausage pasta, and then kind of do it that way. I think that would be nice as well. So it's a good way of using up maybe a few things that you've got in the fridge. And I suppose it would be. There's no such thing as a leftover sausage in my house. But if you'd had a barbecue the day before, and there were some sausages, and they've been out in the fridge, and you kind of thought, oh, we better cook them, and then we'll kind of use them up at another point. Say if you had some leftover sausages and barbecue and they're already cooked, you could chop those sausages up, fry them, and cook them in the same way. But anyway, that's success. It's going cold, and I want to eat it.